The movie starts with Nina getting beer from a store on Mother's Day. She gets the beer and comes out, only to find some boys harassing the girls. Nina stops them from doing so, but they start to abuse her. One of the boys comes forward to attack her, but Nina throws the can of beer on his head, knocking him down. Seeing their friend falling, his fellows move forward to get at her, but she responds quickly and fights with them down. They try to overpower her, but they fail because she resists strongly. She then forces them to run away with their unconscious friend. She, too, gets injured but somehow manages to reach her home. After reaching there, she drinks beer to relax herself. She works in a scrapyard as a crane operator. Max reaches home late at night and apologizes for being late. His parents are waiting for him to celebrate his birthday. Nina sees them celebrating his birthday from a little distance through binoculars in her car. Igor joins her there, and Nina tells him Max's parents are spoiling him. Igor tells her everyone gets spoiled at this age, so she should not be worried about it. He will get better when he grows up. Max is Nina's son, but he was taken by his adoptive parents a few years ago. After having a little discussion, they go to the graveyard and put flowers on a grave. It turns out that this is Nina's grave, as she was declared dead in 2005 by NATO for her protection. Nina returns home and watches Max's videos on social media. Max is fond of skating, and uploads several videos of skating on his social media accounts. Nina feels delighted to see them, but she feels bad when she sees his pictures with his adoptive parents enjoying with him. The next scene presents Max skating alone in a street late at night. A car follows him and stops near him. Two men come out of it and try to grab him. He pushes them and runs away. In doing so, his phone falls on the street. One of the men picks up his phone and gives it to his friend, who puts it in his pocket. They seem upset at his escape. Then, one of the men calls his other friends to find Max, who is seen at a railway station now. He is about to go downstairs when two men appear and run towards him. He immediately moves back but is hit by another man who is standing behind him. He falls down and blacks out. They put him in their car and go away. The following morning, when Nina is getting ready for work, she sees Max's social media account and learns about his abduction. She goes to Igor and tells him about her missing son. Igor tells her not to worry, as this news may not be true. He tells her it may be a prank, or he might have had a fight with someone. Nina asks about Igor's friends who are in the police force, but he tells her she can't interfere with the investigations. Igor further tells her maybe Max got drunk and is afraid of returning home, but Nina doesn't listen to him and leaves him there. She then goes to Max's home to see whether he is really missing or not. She looks into his room but finds nothing significant there. Meanwhile, his adoptive parents return and talk about the police that are looking for him. Suddenly, his adoptive mother finds the door of Max's room open. She moves toward it while Nina is hidden behind the door. But she can't see her and goes back. Nina again goes to Igor, who gives her Max's phone and tells her about the kidnapper's recordings in it. She finds the audio recordings in his phone and learns about a man, Duke and Dragon, the son of Spiridon Dragon, who was killed by Nina. He now wants to get revenge for his father's murder by kidnapping and killing Nina's son, Max. She gets angry with Igor, thinking he has revealed the secret of her being alive, and that she is Max's mother. He tells her she hasn't revealed any secret, but she holds his collar in anger. At the same time, his daughter calls him, and Nina releases him to attend her call. She then returns Max's phone to him, and he goes away. Then, we see the headquarters of a secret agency, where its head tells his staff about a Polish ambassador who is involved in illegal activities. Her name is Beauty, and commonly known as Witch. She has been operating all the criminal activities in her embassy. Her clients have very dirty hands and are involved in dirty businesses. She transports dirty cash to her country in diplomatic transports and deposits into the local banks. She then withdraws it from their banks as clean cash. Igor is also present in the meeting. The head then tells them about Volto, who is commonly known as Little Bitter. He is the son of Big Bitter, who is currently held in an underground cell. Then he introduces Titus, who runs the trafficking department. After this, he tells his staff about Batten, commonly known as Ivo, who runs drugs. These people are financing their regime by killing innocent people. He tells his staff they will end their dirty business and lock them up. Then Nina sees the video in which Max is being kidnapped by some unknown people. Igor shows this video to Nina and tells her Volto has kidnapped Max. Volto keeps a tight grip on every illegal business in the city. She asks about Volto's whereabouts, but Igor tells her no one knows about it. However, he tells Nina about some people who belong to his gang. Then we see Batten, who kills one of the boys of his gang, who brought a very little cash to him. He tells Batten the client changes his mind. When he is about to kill another one, Nina appears there and asks about Max. He refuses to tell her about him. Nina gets furious at this and attacks him. Baton tries to get her down, but she starts to fight with his men and kills most of them. When she is about to kill Baton, he tells her he has only kidnapped Max, but he is in the custody of Titus at his place now. Nina then moves to Titus and reaches his place where he is dealing with his trafficking activities. He is instructing his people to remove the dead bodies of the people who died in the container while crossing the border illegally. Nina sees all his activities through binoculars from a distance sitting in her car. She then enters his place and searches for him. She sees the dead bodies in the container for a while, and then closes its doors. Then, Volto is seen with a lot of bags of money at his place. He keeps talking to his dead father, whose head he has preserved in a jar. One of his men comes to him and tells him about Duke and Dragon, who wants to talk to him on the phone. Volto talks to him, and Dragon asks about the arrival of some package. Volto tells him it has arrived safely and is waiting at its pickup point. He then asks Dragon about the second installment. Dragon tells him about his courier who will come in 2 days and receive the package. He will give him the money if the package is found intact. Meanwhile, Nina fights with Titus's men and kills them all. Titus gets badly injured in that fight. She then finds Max, who is tied and lying on the floor. Before she can untie Max, Titus attacks her from behind, knocking her down. She falls on the floor and blacks out. Then, Titus calls Volto, who is busy in merrymaking. Lee receives the call and learns about Nina, who is now tied up on the floor near Max. Somehow she manages to free herself and Max. Meanwhile, Volto reaches Titus's place, but finds Nina and Max missing as they have already escaped. Seeing this, he gets furious at Titus, who tries to explain the details to him, but he is not ready to listen to him. On the way, Max asks Nina who she is, but she doesn't tell him anything about her. She asks him to remain silent and not to ask any questions. Max tries to escape, but she doesn't allow him to do so. She gets him down and asks him to obey her, otherwise they both will be killed. Max agrees with her and they reach a secret place where Nina asks him to stay there as it is a very safe place. On the other side, Volto is angry with Titus at Max's escape. He tells him the job was very important and could provide more opportunities to them, but he failed to perform it. He then kills Titus by giving him electric shocks. After killing him, he asks his staff about CCTV cameras, and they tell him they are working. He then asks them not to reveal anything about Max's escape to the client. He calls Witch and tells her about Nina, who has taken Max with her. She gets furious and reaches his son, who is busy playing chess. She asks him to follow her. He goes with her and shows her a video in which Nina is shown taking Max with her. Witch is surprised to find that Nina is still alive, and asks his son to instruct their men to find and kill Nina. Her son calls his men to ask them to kill her. Nina is now treating her wound with the help of Max, who knows how to give first aid. Later, she gives him some food to eat, but he once again asks her who she is and why he is kidnapped. When she doesn't tell him anything, he gets angry and leaves. Igor's daughter comes to see him, and he asks her to stay with him if she wants to continue her university. He offers to provide her with a studio apartment because he doesn't like her staying with her mother and wants her to live with him. But she is not ready for this. Then, her friends come to pick her up and she goes with them. When she leaves, Igor gets furious at her refusal and breaks the wash basin in anger. He then receives Nina's call. She asks him to inform Max's parents and tells them Max is safe and sound. Igor tells her Dragon and Volto won't spare her, but she tells him they can't find them. He asks her about the place where they are hidden, and she tells him about the place. Meanwhile, Max and Nina go to sleep. When Nina has slept, Max calls his parents and tells them about him. Nina hears his voice and gets up. When Nina finds him talking to his parents, she snatches his phone and breaks it so their location may not be traced. Max gets furious and tries to leave the place by breaking the door, but he can't do it. Seeing his frustration, Nina tells him she knows his real father, who didn't die in an accident. She tells him his father was killed by someone who wants to kill her too. She then gives him a box, but the powers fail at the same time, and she hides him under a pipe. Suddenly, two of Volto's men reach there and start to fire in every direction, but Max remains unharmed. When they stop firing, Nina appears there and kills both of them. She then asks Max to stay there and not to move. She comes out with a gun and starts to fire at Volto's men who are smoking outside. They fire back at her and a bullet gets into her arm, but she continues fighting back. She kills all of them while Max is still in the basement. He opens the box given by Nina and sees the documents in it. He learns Nina is his real mother, and his real father is dead now. Nina confronts Volto, who gives her an electric shock, but she manages to survive. They both fight with each other for some time, but she finally succeeds in killing him after the intense fight. Meanwhile, we see all of Volto's illegal money is taken by the police. Witch's son sees it from a distance in his car and informs her mother about it. Max escapes from the basement but is kidnapped again by Witch's son. Nina takes out the bullet from her shoulder and bandages her wounds. She then reaches Max's adoptive parents and inquires about him, but they tell her he has not yet returned. They ask Nina who she is, and she tells them she is the real mother of Max. They give her a painkiller to relieve her pain. They think to contact the police, but she stops him from doing so. Meanwhile, Witch calls her and tells her they kidnapped Max. She asks Max to talk to Nina so that she may know he is with them. He talks to her and asks about his parents. She tells him they are fine. Then she asks Witch where they have kept Max, but she doesn't tell her the location. She asks Nina to get her money that is taken by the police, and in return, she will return Max to her. After talking to her, Nina asks his adoptive parents not to worry, as she safely brings Max back to them. Later, Witch's son brings Max and plays chess with him. He is impressed with his performance as he beats him in the game. Meanwhile, Nina goes to Igor and tells him about Max being in Witch's custody. She tells him she wants to get all the money from the police and give it to Witch to get Max back. Igor tells her all the money is locked at the police headquarters, and there are 150 armed officers deputed for its safety. He further tells her if she wants to get the money, she will have to kill all the guards and many civilians. She tells him she won't kill anyone, but he says it is impossible. However, he tells her he can provide her the blueprints in 1 hour. She agrees with him and gets out of his car. When she comes out and walks a little distance, he hits her from behind, falling her down. When she returns to her consciousness, she finds herself tied in a van with several bags of money. Igor's men get her out and try to kill her in the jungle, but she responds in time and overpowers them. Igor tries to run away in the van with all the money, but she starts to fire at the van, causing it to catch fire and burn almost all the money. She collects the remaining money and goes to Witch, who gets furious to see such a small amount of money. She tries to kill Nina, but her son stops her from doing so. Finally, they allow Nina and Max to go, and they leave in the car. When they are on the way to their home, Igor comes from behind and hits their car. He also gets injured in doing so. Nina and Max get out of their damaged car and try to escape, but Igor starts to fire at them. Nina snatches his gun and asks her why he wants to kill them. Igor tells her he is doing this just because of his daughter whom he wants to be with. Nina leaves him and goes away with Max. She hands him over to his adoptive parents and goes to her home. When she reaches home, she cries a lot, but someone knocks at the door. She goes out and finds Max, who is standing there. She hugs him, and they start to live together. At the secret agency, the head exposes all his crimes to Igor, who feels embarrassed to see them, but finds no answer to satisfy them. Here, the movie ends. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you can watch more movies like this.